ya? People with fibromyalgia are tired of having people disbelieve them. And people without fibromyalgia are tired of seeing someone who's always in pain or hearing about it. So what do? We learn to hide it if possible. When you notice someone with fibromyalgia in pain, it's probably because it's so severe that they are unable to conceal it. But know this, my pain is not worse or less than anybody else's. We just learn that people don't want to see it, so we hide it. I've become so good at this that even my husband doesn't know unless it's severe. And then he asked me, "What's wrong?" He says, "I look depressed." Yesterday he said, "I look stoned." I don't do drugs. And sometimes he thinks I'm mad at him. You'd think he'd know by now that I'm not feeling well. Sometimes it comes on quick. Sometimes I wake up this way, like today. And sometimes it hits me after doing a little bit of housework. Either way, we conceal it because we just don't want people to see it. And I'll explain why. I ran into an old friend multiple times over the years since fibro. She's a big hugger, just like me. So what does she do when we run into each other? She gives me a monster hug. I mean, hard pats, big squeezes. Well, I used to love those. But now, that's a bit hard for me. And I would try to just shake it off and accept that big squeeze because I love hugs. But about 6 months ago, I ran into her and she gave me one of those big hugs. And I thought, it's time. It's time I tell her. And I told her that what I needed was a gentle hug because I have fibromyalgia. Well, she looked shocked. And she told me that she was sorry. I mean, she's an empath, very sensitive person. It hurt her to hurt me, but it wasn't her fault. It was mine for never telling her. I mean, I don't see her that often, but I could have told her the first time I saw her again, post-fibro. I mean, most of the time, I don't look sick. So how would she know unless she lived with me? And Kelly, if you're watching this, I love you, girlfriend. So how do you explain pain to others? Imagine this. You're sitting with friends or relaxing with family, and you get that shooting pain, sharp, sudden, jabbing pain somewhere in your body. Like somebody just stuck you with a pin. What do you do? Well, there's no way I can ignore it because when it occurs, it catches me off guard and I don't have time to stuff it in. So we do what anyone would do. We grab that area and say, ouch! Do you tell them the truth? Because they might look at you like you're crazy. Or do you backtrack and tell them that it was nothing? I don't think you have to go into a great deal of information because most people don't want to hear the long, full, sobby story of your fibromyalgia journey. But what you can tell them is your limitations. Like for me, walking distances can be an issue. But whatever your issue is, maybe that's where you could start. I did a bit of a video on what to tell friends and family here. Do you hide so you don't have to explain to people? Do you hide those symptoms? I know that I don't like explaining my pain to others. It's boring to people without pain. But as I've aged, I've learned that older people are more sympathetic because, in general, people get more aches and pains as they age. They might not quite understand fibromyalgia, but they can definitely relate to pain. If you're younger with fibro, do you hide so you don't have to explain it to your young friends? Or is it because you're concerned they'll look at you differently? I mean, that's honesty. I don't want people to look at me differently. I know that I worry about that sometimes, but maybe they're already wondering if there's something wrong. Tesla's playing with his new toy that he got for his birthday. Oh gosh. So maybe they're wondering if something's wrong. Maybe like my husband, they wonder if you're mad at them or if you're depressed. And if you are depressed because of fibromyalgia, maybe you should explain that too. In one of the online support groups that I like to frequent occasionally, my fibro team, one person stated that she shows a picture of the nervous system. So if you're out and about, I guess you would have to carry that in your purse. But I'm assuming when she goes to lunch or tea or coffee or has family or friends over, she'll get out a picture of the nervous system to show people that chronic pain is a dysfunction of the nervous system. And she explains that the nerves affect every part of the body, including when you get a toothache or a stomach ache. All that pain comes from what the brain tells the nerves. She says her nerves are irritated and confused all the time and affects all of her physical life, like strength, energy, cognitive ability, sleep, etc. And when she says she pushes through the pain, it sends a hurricane of misinformation to her body, and nothing will calm it down but time. She goes on to say that she asks people to bear with her. She'll do the best she can do, but she is cautious of her limits because otherwise she'll pay for it for days. Wow. That was a great way to explain it. Not too complicated, but enough detail and information that Your friends and family might just understand that. But here's the reality. We have to be able to accept whether or not they will get it and be okay with that. Here's a quote from mynameisfibromyalgia.com. Because the reality is that I might put a smile on my face, it doesn't mean I'm okay. Just because I choose myself doesn't mean I'm selfish. If I get frustrated or angry because I've hit a wall, it doesn't mean I'm going to give up. If I cry, I'm not weak. If I'm judged by others, it doesn't mean I am what they think I am. Living with chronic illness is hard, and I do my best. I know you may not understand, and sadly, you won't get it unless you get it. I mean, I've never had cancer, so I don't truly understand that experience or the fear that might creep in. But my own life experiences make it easier to be empathetic to people with cancer. I think the worst thing for me was pretending that I was feeling well at work when all I wanted to do was go back home. I pushed through on those bad days. Fortunately, when I was in my office, my coworkers were amazing and left me to myself while I worked through it. Sometimes that's all we need. So choose who you share your story with wisely. And if they don't get it, that's okay. I have two mothers-in-law, and one of them has a daughter with fibromyalgia, my sister-in-law. She watches my videos to learn more about fibro, but she says it still doesn't make sense to her. She just doesn't get it. Now we're talking about a very loving person who deeply cares about the people around her. So it's okay that she doesn't get it, right? She's trying, and that's what matters to me. So love yourself, love others. That's what I aim to do every day. I hope you learned something. I send you gentle hugs and support. Love you. Probably, but as I've aged, and if you are depressed,